So I was recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 1210, the Portfolio Lending and Mortgage Access Bill designed by my good friend from Kentucky. You know, we've seen in Arkansas loan approval rates decline significantly since the QM rules were put in place. One bank noted a 40% decline in eligible borrowers. And today I just want to tell a story. A community banker in my district called this week and said he has a customer that from time to time just needs catch-up money. Money to catch up on bills, medical expenses, or help out her kids. But her credit score is in the low range of acceptable, and therefore she doesn't qualify for unsecured credit. And therefore she uses the equity in her house. And she's been doing it for years and paid back those lines over and over again with no problems. Now she has to go through the ability to repay process, which is long and arduous, and unfortunately for her, leading to mistrust between a long-term client and her hometown bank. As a former chairman and CEO and president of a community bank in Arkansas, I can assure you that members of our boards of directors across this country scrutinize all portfolio loans, both those frankly that are sold and that are kept on the books. But there is no better incentive than to have good underwriting and ensure the customer has the ability to repay for a loan held on the balance sheet of one of our financial institutions. And that's what we're talking about here today. Community institutions know best how to serve their communities and their clients, not Washington. I urge my colleagues to support this common sense bill. I yield back.
So I was recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support for my colleague from New Hampshire in his bipartisan bill to reform and assist our nation's auto dealers and consumers and increase the oversight and transparency of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Dodd-Frank explicitly prohibited the CFPB from regulating auto dealers, but their guidance on indirect auto lending is an end around to indeed do just that, regulate auto dealer sales. Not only is the CFPB's guidance inherently flawed, but the agency has not provided the opportunity for public comment or input, nor have they shared any of their analysis or assumptions on which they based their model. This guidance is another example of emerging government price regulation and fee setting in the financial services industry. We've always, as a part of our financial regulation, tried not to set price by regulatory directive. And instead, we've operated on a consumer disclosure and consumer education model. Price regulation is clearly what this guidance does. It's softer, more delicate in its language, but it clearly is leading towards price regulation. Consumer lending and banking is down among community banks. It's been cut in half over the past few years. And one key reason for that is the inability of a consumer bank to price for risk. Today's legislation is not about discrimination. It's about giving access to credit to people who need it and giving access to credit to them in the right way, particularly those families with limited resources. This bill in no way ties the CFPB's hands. It merely gives the public an opportunity to comment on the Bureau's attempt to reshape the auto loan market. Whether it's in a rural area or an urban area, this pernicious expansion of price regulation in financial services by the federal government will have a negative effect of credit allocation in our communities.